Let's talk about something that, for a lot of us, can cause a bit of a shudder: the quality audit. We're going to dive into how you can take this process, something often seen as a real pain, and turn it from just a chore into a genuine catalyst for making your organization better.
Yeah, this quote from Christoph Villalonga, it really hits home, doesn't it? For so many, an audit feels like this burden, this thing you have to do to keep your certification. It's something you just kind of grit your teeth and get through. But what if we just flipped that whole idea on its head? What if an audit wasn't a test to be feared, but a tool to be used? A real chance to get an honest, objective look at how you're really doing and to spot those golden opportunities to improve.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll reimagine what an audit can be. Then we'll walk through the blueprint for success, all about preparation. After that, we'll get into the art of the investigation itself, then talk about turning findings into foresight, and finally closing that loop to make sure the improvements actually stick. Okay, first things first. None of this works without a fundamental shift in perspective. It all, and I mean all, starts with your mindset. So let's just level set on what we're talking about. A quality audit, by the book, is a formal process. The keywords to grab onto here are systematic, independent, and documented. This isn't about feelings or opinions. It's about gathering cold, hard facts, objective evidence, and seeing how they stack up against the established rules. And this right here is the fork in the road. You can approach it with a compliance mindset. That's reactive. You're basically just on a fault-finding mission, checking boxes, doing the bare minimum. It's that constraint we mentioned. Or you can have a value-add mindset. This is proactive. You're hunting for opportunities. The audit becomes a vector of progress, a way to actively make the business better. It's a total game changer. A truly great audit doesn't just happen. Nope. It's built, piece by piece, on a solid foundation of preparation. This is where you do the work to make sure it's a valuable experience, not a painful one. And that prep work breaks down into 4 really clear stages. First, you've got to know your why. Define what you want to achieve with this audit. Then you plan out your resources, who you need, how much time it's going to take. Step 3 is building the team, and that's crucial. And finally, you get your tools ready. Things like checklists that'll guide the investigation. And speaking of the team, this gets to a really interesting human part of the process. You see, the best auditors aren't just rule checkers. They're people who are genuinely curious, who love to learn how things work. Sure, they have to be rigorous and objective, but they're also empathetic. They're good communicators. They're not there to play gotcha. They're there to partner up and help. Finding people with that spirit is everything. All right, you've done your prep, you've got the right mindset, now we're into the audit itself. And this is where it stops feeling like an interrogation and starts feeling more like a collaborative investigation. I really love this quote. It perfectly sums up what a good audit should be. It's not just about looking around. It's a process. First, you observe and gather the raw facts. Then you step back and reflect. You connect the dots. Finally, you use your experience to verify what it all means. It's a really thoughtful, analytical rhythm. So how do you actually do the investigating? Well, you've got a few key techniques. You talk to people, but you ask open-ended questions to understand the how and why, not just yes or no. You look at the paperwork to see if the reality matches what's prescribed. You go to the gemba, the actual place the work happens, to see it with your own 2 eyes. And all the while, you're using those soft skills, that savoir, to keep things positive and build trust. Okay, the investigation's done. Now it's time for the report. But let's reframe this too. A great audit report is not a report card. It's a roadmap. It's about turning what you found into foresight for the future. You see, a value-add audit doesn't just focus on the bad stuff. It gives you the whole picture. It calls out strengths, where the team is absolutely knocking it out of the park. It flags sensitive points, things that are fine now but could become problems down the road. It documents deviations, those clear, fact-based gaps, and, importantly, it points out opportunities for improvement. And man, how you word these findings makes all the difference. Just look at this comparison. The data are incomplete. What do you do with that? It's useless. But the second one? It's precise. It tells you where, what, why, and gives you the evidence. It's a finding that actually empowers people to take specific, targeted action. That's the goal. And that brings us to the final, and maybe most important piece of the puzzle. An audit report gathering dust on a shelf is worthless. You have to close the loop and use it to drive actual, continuous growth. The audit becomes a massive input for the classic plan, do, check, act cycle. Your findings help you plan what to fix. Then you do it. You make the changes. Then you check. Did it work?
And finally, you act, either by making the successful changes the new standard or by adjusting the plan and trying again. The audit isn't the finish line. It's the fuel for this never-ending cycle of getting better.
So it all comes back to this one question. The value you get from your next audit, it really all depends on the mindset you bring to it. Is it just a chore you have to suffer through? Or is it a catalyst that sparks real excellence? That choice is about so much more than the audit itself. It's about the kind of organization you want to be. The potential is right there for you to grab.